Choose action over apathy.
Together, we can protect our winners.
I'm here in Bozeman, Montana, in the new reality of virtual meetings. We are still all connected, albeit in a slightly different way. So join us. How is cool, how is happening, and how is you?
Hey, Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, thank you for being here. I know you're probably a little bit busy, so we understand that this is a really cool opportunity to hang out with you.
Well, listen, I always love being home, and I'm jealous that you're there in the Reno Tahoe area. But there's a lot of important work being done here, as you well know, because you've been out here in Carson and fighting for us and to address climate change and protecting our winners. I was there when you came out.
Yes, yeah, that was so cool. Coming out last year was an awesome opportunity. But with everything going on, this has been a really cool opportunity for us to do it through this platform, because now the whole community gets to join in. So we'll have a lot more eyes on this and be able to hear what we all have to say. So this is a cool opportunity.
Yeah, I'm excited. So thank you.
Of course, of course. So in case you don't know, my name is Tim Eddy, everyone. Sometimes I ride a snowboard. So maybe you know me from that, but here I am with Nevada Dem, Catherine Cortez Masto, and we're just here to get to know you and just learn a little bit more about yourself and the amazing things you're doing for climate. So we want to thank you again. And let's see, I guess we'll start with an intro from you, just brief intro, and we'll go from there. And I guess with your busy schedule, what brings you here with us today?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the invitation. I am, if you don't know, a native Nevadan, but I also happen to be a U.S. Senator representing the great state of Nevada. And because of all of the growing up in Nevada, and it's such a beautiful place, and I love the outdoors. I actually, growing up there, I had a father who introduced his two daughters to the great outdoors in Nevada, and what better place to learn, right? And we were all over Nevada, Utah, all parts of the West, just hiking and fishing and kind of mountain climbing, and just love it. And so because of my love for the West, it allowed me as a United States Senator to bring that to Washington and really fight and turn that into action to protect our great outdoors, particularly our winters. I grew up in parts of northern Nevada, went to school at University of Nevada, Reno. I learned how to ski on Mount Rose. Right. And yeah, and so I love all parts of our state, and it's so diverse, right? So there's so much that you can do. You can be skiing up in Tahoe and then ski down, and if you get the right day, then you can go golfing in Reno at the same, day, right? And so it's beautiful, and so my fight has been to protect Nevada and protect the great outdoors for so many people across this country, to give them and allow them the opportunity to explore it. There's so many, as you know, Tim, that don't really even have access or the ability to explore our wonderful outdoors, and I want to give them that opportunity as well.
Absolutely, yeah, because with that we gain better appreciation for the outdoors, we protect it, all that good stuff. So but that's cool, because I can actually see, I'm looking at Mount Rose right now out my window of my house. So that's cool. That's where you learned up there.
That's what I learned. And when I lived in Reno, I was in Reno obviously as the Attorney General, and I lived there. I had a view of Mount Rose as well. I lived down the southwest part of Reno. It was beautiful.
Well, so there are 50 million Americans that are part of the outdoor state, and that's hikers, bikers, skiers, boarders, all of the above. And we want to know what's your favorite outdoor activity?
Oh, that's easy. I love to hike. Whenever I have the opportunity to be outside, that's my favorite. Hiking, bouldering, all throughout Nevada. And even when I was campaigning, and I've been campaigning throughout the state, I would take the time. Like when I was in Elko, would go hike the Ruby Mountains. I've been all over, obviously, the southern part, and Red Rocks and Mount Charleston. Been the top of Job's Peak, which is absolutely gorgeous when you get the top there. And I just love it. I think it is so calming to me. It's great exercise, and it's beautiful. There's some beautiful places that we have. I also had the benefit of being so close to Utah. Mm-hmm. When I was growing up, my family, because my father was avid outdoorsman, we spent a lot of time in southern Utah and hiking all over southern Utah. Just beautiful country.
Oh yeah, it's unreal. It's like nowhere else I've ever been.
That's right.
Well, that's perfect, because that brings me to my next question, which is, where's your favorite place to go hiking? And you nailed it for me. My favorite place in Nevada is the Rubies, for sure. The Ruby Mountains.
Is it cool?
Yeah.
I know, and I tell, because it's like the best kept secret. People don't realize when you go to the Rubies, it's not, there's lakes up there. And that's the first time I'd ever experienced, as you walk up and you hike through the Ruby Mountains, that there's a lot of lakes up in that area, and a lot of people go fishing. Yeah. It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, all the alpine lakes and everything. So is that your favorite place to hike, or do you have others that are number one?
I have to say places in Nevada are my favorite. But I have been all over. As I live out here, spend some time Blue Ridge Mountains and hiking around some of the areas here. Wherever I can, I just try to get out. I think it's so important just for your own health, right? To be outside and hiking and exercising. It's good for your mental health as well. And particularly here in DC, because I need that mental health, peace of mind. Me going and dealing with what's happening.
Yeah, a reminder of all your hard work and what it's all for.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we know what your favorite thing is to do, but is it also hiking?
I love hiking. I love mountain biking and snowboarding are probably my two biggest ones. So it's been amazing exploring all the land, and Nevada has so much open space to explore on bikes. So just finding new trails and all that, and camping and all that. That's my favorite.
Yeah. And was that because at a young age, that's what your father or your parents brought you out? Is that what you started doing first, camping or snowboarding, or was it all of the above? Camping,
for sure. Every weekend it was a new place to camp. We were out west, so we could just, like, whether it's the coast or the mountains or the valley, anywhere, every single weekend it was just camping. So, like, from that point on, I knew that was what I was doing. Yeah.
And that was what. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, have you seen any changes to climate that you've noticed in Nevada, in the area, and what have you experienced?
Yeah, I will tell you the biggest change. It's not just in Nevada. Spent some time in Alaska, which is absolutely beautiful, and I'm going to say in the mid 90s, was able to hike and do some whitewater river rafting, but went to Barrow, Alaska, which is on the Arctic Ocean. And it's, if you don't know, it's an Inuit village. Their mainstay is whaling to feed the villagers. And I just happened to be there when they did their first kind of festival around the whaling season when it opened. Absolutely beautiful, but you could look out and see the ice in the ocean and how cold, and the permafrost on the ground, and that's how they built on top of it. It's totally different now. I mean, if you literally look from 90s, and when I was there, it was probably, oh my gosh, probably about 95, 96 to today, they're two different two different villages.
Right.
I mean, literally, the climate change has completely devastated that whole area, and it's so much warmer now, and it's totally different community. And so you see that in Nevada. I see that growing up in Nevada. We have more wildfires than we've ever had before.
Sure.
Right? We've always dealt with drought as a state and a Western state, but it's more prevalent now. We see that. And you see it now in our winters, right? It's changed. Our climate has changed, and there's obviously more to it. The climate crisis is addressing it. The carbon that's out there, and why it's so important we reduce our carbon footprint, and so many other things that we can do here to protect that environment. I have seen it change over the years growing up in Nevada, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, huge, and such a short period of time in comparison. Yep. So, but I guess this is a very cool thing for the state of Nevada that I feel like that the state it's just bipartisan as far as the support for the environment and for climate. And last year when I was in Carson, we were there for the clean energy bill that we saw. It was just across the table, both sides, everybody seemed to be in support, and it was a really good feeling. And I just want to hear your thoughts on the state of Nevada and how everyone seems to be like on the right track.
Absolutely. In Nevada, there is bipartisan support for this issue and addressing our climate crisis. And here's why. Because we are a state where we can take advantage of solar, we can take advantage of geothermal energy, we can take advantage of wind energy, which we have. We know that if we really diversify our energy portfolio, invest in those renewable energy, it creates jobs, it's good for our economy, and it's great to have an impact on the climate crisis that we are in right now. But there's more that needs to be done, and I think that's where you see all of the leaders in Nevada recognizing it's not just the energy piece of it, it is addressing electric vehicles, electric buses that also contribute to the climate crisis. There's an investing in our infrastructure, investing in our schools and our old buildings, whether they are schools or they are federal buildings or they are state buildings. We should be investing in energy efficient buildings, right? Absolutely. So there's a combination of things, and there's great support bipartisan support for that in the state of Nevada. People realize the benefits of it, and we can balance this, right? We can still address what our energy needs are or our infrastructure needs are to get people around, but at the same time protect our great outdoors so everybody has the opportunity to explore and benefit from them. And now what's interesting is the Senate Democrats, all the Democrats in Congress, we're all supportive of that. We all get it. I'm part of a Senate, I was watching the video because the March on Washington, you were addressing the Senate Democrats Climate Crisis Caucus Committee. Mm-hmm. We tried to we actually invited our Republican colleagues to participate with us, and they refused. But we still marched on. We said, no, this is too important. We're going to do it. We got to bring attention to it. So I'm part of that committee, and then all of the work that we're doing here around just an energy portfolio as well, because I think battery storage is going to bring a new wave of opportunities to really focus on those renewable energies as well. And that's something we need to invest in. We need to invest more in solar and geothermal. We need to incentivize here at the federal level that type of energy that we know is green and clean for our communities.
Absolutely, and we appreciate all the work you're doing because you are a climate champion. And on behalf of all the outdoor community, we want to thank you for sure. Like, all your work's been amazing, and I can imagine it's not the easiest route to be taking. So it's probably the less obvious route there in Washington. And I just would like to hear like what inspires you to continue on that path for all the work you're doing for clean energy and for the climate.
It's the people I meet. There are so many incredible folks from Nevada that I have met, whether they're at home when I get around the state, because that's the best thing. I love to get around the state and visit with everybody from all of our counties, but also the people I meet here and the younger generation. I'll be honest with you. The younger generation that I have met, and these are my nieces and nephews, but the individuals that I've met in the state and here that are just, they get it. They're socially conscious. They get what's going on in the climate. They're demanding that we do something because it's their future that we are addressing or not addressing here. And they've been vocal advocates, and that's inspiring to me. I'll be honest with you. At their age, I don't think I was thinking of that when I was growing up in Nevada. But how could you not sit and listen and and engage in a conversation, because they are so eloquent, they're sophisticated about the issue, and they are determined to make change. And good for them. And I think that's part of the inspiration. I'd like to see that. I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of energy in the youth. And I know this week POW is making calls and meeting with members of Congress to get some more clean energy involved in our whole landscape. And do you have any advice for the POW community on what's the best way to go about doing that? And if you could share maybe some insider info now that we've got you here to help us, make the most out of what we can do.
Yeah, don't give up. I think more voices on this issue will be helpful for us to get it done, to push forward. This is the first time I sit on Energy and Natural Resources Committee in the Senate. It's the first time that I heard some of my Republican colleagues even admit there is a climate crisis or the climate change is happening. Now, with that said, they are doing that because they are just interested in more nuclear power. But at least we're getting them there. They're at least saying the words, right? But so here's how I promote it with them, because I think if you look at it from a perspective of, well, this is, of course, it's great for our future when it comes to our environment, but at the end of the day, it's good for our economy, right? It generates outdoor recreation generates billions of dollars for all of our communities, and some of our rural communities that normally wouldn't generate revenue any other way, right? And it creates jobs. It's good for the economy, and we should take advantage of the new technology that's out there and to turn it into a positive for all of us, like battery storage, like electric vehicles. I'm excited because I've been through Nevada, and in some of our rural communities, like Lincoln County, we actually have charging stations. We have charging stations. Yeah. And so let's make those infrastructure investments, and that way we will already be that far further ahead. And when people start realizing how important this is, and it will be a benefit to our state. So I think it's just talk in terms of the economy, jobs, and it is you can lean into that, and I think in any area, and really people will pay attention to it. Yeah,
I feel like money talks. And I think that's like a perfect opportunity. And do you think that the outdoor community has a helpful voice? You think it's important for everyone to be out there and making a stand for this?
Absolutely. I think that's the only reason we have come so far on this issue in Congress, really. It's your voices. It's all of you being out there and advocating and building coalitions with others who care about the great outdoors. People don't realize that there are many hunters who like the great outdoors, right? And they are great advocates on this issue as well. So it's building and finding those alliances and coalitions, and then using your voices collectively to why this is important, and making sure that everybody in Congress is hearing about it. Now, I don't, talk to your Senate delegation, talk to your congressional delegation, and make sure they know this is important for you.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, we have a lot more in common with our neighbors than we think sometimes, because everybody wants clean air. They all want clean water. So,
well, that's yeah.
And then next would be the Renewable Extension Act that you introduced, which is amazing. And Powell is pushing that to be in the next stimulus package. And if we were, yes, absolutely. If we were, you and I were sitting on a chairlift at Mount Rose and you wanted to tell me all about it, what would you say? Let's fill everyone in here.
Yeah, so this is really, and this is my pushback from the state of Nevada, because here's how this came about. I was sitting on Energy and Natural Resources, and at the time, Secretary Zinke was the Secretary of the Interior, which if you lived any time in Nevada, you know that over 80% of the land is owned by the federal government, and most of that is interior, right, BLM. So he's coming before us with his budget. We're looking at the budget because it is being gutted. And he literally looked up and said, well, this is how you balance the budget. If you want to put more money in for your backlogs and your parks or the Forest Service, or you're looking at more money for land and water conservation, or you want to put more money in, then what you need to do is do more oil and gas leasing. And you take those royalties and that's where you put it. And that's when my ears went, what? And so I have watched consistently where this administration has focused and prioritized oil and gas leasing over everything else. And so then that was it. I said, and you know this because they literally tried to do more, and they still are, more oil and gas leasing speculation around the Ruby Mountains. And they're doing it in other places, right? So we've been fighting that. And it's just crazy, particularly where there's areas that there's low or no potential for oil and gas, but they're still trying to engage in the lease around that space. So I have legislation around that as well. So I thought, no, then if we're going to give all of these subsidies and all of this to oil and gas, then we need to do it on the other side. We need to make sure we're supporting solar and geothermal and clean and green energy. We need to make sure that they get the tax credits, they get the subsidies so that they can thrive. And so that's literally, in a nutshell, where my focus has been, is to bring parity. And to the extent that we can kind of slow down the oil and gas and pump up and give subsidies and support and resources on the clean energy side, it will thrive even more. And again, we'll take advantage of the new technology. Battery storage is not far away, but we have to continue to invest in it. We have to continue to invest in the research around this new technology. And I think that's where my fight is. That's where many of my Senate colleagues are fighting it. I saw in the video, Martin Heinrich from New Mexico, who sits on Energy and Natural Resources for me, his big fight push is around this battery storage as well. So I think that's where we all come from, is that, no, we need to provide those incentives here so we can grow and make sure we're focused on the clean energy.
Yeah, for sure. It's such a huge opportunity that just needs some attention and will all benefit. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, we get that Extension Act going. Okay, cool. Well, last question. And finally, you made it through. Sorry, got to deal with me, but here we go. We're all on the same team here. You know, we're all fighting for climate. We're doing our best. And what hope do you have for the future with everything that you've done and what you're doing and what you're seeing? What hope do you hold for the future for climate?
Oh, I think we're going to be in a good spot. First of all, let me say elections matter. So people have to pay attention to who they're electing at all levels, at the federal, state, and local. And that's a focus we should all care about. But I feel good at where we are. I think there are more just in general of the population across this country that are focused on the issue of climate crisis, the issue around protecting our clean air, clean water, knowing that, again, there is no planet B, right? This is it. This is where we need to focus. And it's not just now my generation. It is the generation behind me. It is the younger generation. They know it. They're focused on it. They're a voting bloc for the future. And they can have a big impact. And they're doing so right now. And so that's my hope, is that they're more socially conscious of what's happening in the world right now, and they're connecting all of those dots, and that's my hope for the future, are the generation that are coming behind us that are going to demand it and even shape it even further as they grow and get into these positions in Congress and in elected positions, state, local, and as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's amazing to see all this racial justice movement and the energy with everyone, and it goes hand in hand with climate. And I think everyone's on the right page, moving in the right direction. So yeah, and thank you. And is there anything that specifically motivates you that you can think of every day to just keep on fighting the good fight for climate?
Yes, but I refuse to say his name. Yes, every day there's a couple of people that motivate me to stay in the fight.
Cool.
And I am not willing to give up yet. And so we've got to do this for our families, for our country, for our future. It's worth fighting for. And I think the more that we're all united and we're in the righteous cause for a reason, for all of us, that is going to benefit this fight. And that's my hope. And that's what keeps me motivated. But what can I ask before we get off? How did you get involved? How did you get involved in this space? Because I've never had a chance to ask you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just like I was saying earlier, falling in love with the outdoors through camping as a young, I mean, as far as I can remember, was just appreciating the outdoors and realizing what that's done for my life and the benefits I've experienced and what I feel responsible now. It's given me so much. I feel responsible to give back to the environment and to at the very least, give other people the opportunity to discover that if they choose to. So that's what got me into it, was just if I was able to experience the outdoors, then everyone deserves to. And if I can help in any way, that's my job.
Thank you. And so for purposes of others who may want to get involved, how did you maneuver through the political process? Because you've really you've had to engage with political leaders, those who have been elected, right? And tried to advocate why you think change is so necessary. What was that like for you as you engaged with your elected leaders?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting at first, having to change my plan of attack and my language for sure, and finding really what it came down to is just finding the commonality that we all share with the environment, and trying to really learn who people are and what their hobbies are or what their passions are, and just be more open to having that conversation to start, and then go from there, instead of just assuming everybody loves riding fresh powder and that's all they want to do. It's not the case. So trying to figure out, what the commonality is, and then moving forward from there. So, and everybody wants clean air. They all want clean water, and they want to have that for the future generations. So finding that has been my new approach.
Well, that's wonderful. And thank you. Thank you for your advocacy, and everybody who's listening. Thank you. Please know that your voices matter. And when you reach out to us in Congress, whether it's phone calls or you're visiting with us or you're knocking on our doors, whether we're in our state or we're in the Capitol, or you're sending emails or doing events like this, we're paying attention. We all listen to the emails that come in, the calls that come in. When people engage us, we're listening. And so it matters, and it helps us if we know that when we're trying to pass legislation, there's a whole world of folks out there that care what we're doing, and they're voicing their support for it as well. It matters at the end of the day. So don't give up. Don't think that your voices and your advocacy aren't going to make a difference, because it does.
Amazing.
So thank you.
Absolutely. And that's perfect for all of us. And everyone heard that. So listen, everyone, don't give up. You guys are all logged in here for a reason, and keep going. And I think that's a perfect way to wrap this up, is our voices are being heard. So thank you so much Senator, for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. And thanks to the POW community for logging on and being a part of this.
Thank you, Tim. Stay safe, stay healthy, everyone. And thank you, Tim. This was wonderful. Look forward to seeing you in person again.
Yes, for sure. Let's go snowboarding, skiing.
Well, skiing. I haven't done snowboarding yet, but I'll go skiing with you.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye, everyone.